far as an overall report on green programs around the U.S., as well as an update on other CCA activities in California, these are the marketing materials of, on the top there, Marin Clean Energy, from which you received a report a couple months ago. On the right there is a billboard, actually, from the Fresno area that was put up by the San Joaquin Valley Joint Powers Agency to market its CCA program down there. And you see the logos of the Cape Light Compact on Cape Cod in Massachusetts, and NOPEC in Ohio, the Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council, and then the logo there of the Sonoma Climate Action Plan, which is a 2-year ongoing plan to reduce greenhouse gases, which has been developed with funding from the cities and the county, that is now completed, has not yet been released, but it's a climate action program that's based on a CCA using bonds, not all that different from what we're doing here in the city. Marin Clean Energy is just in the process now of completing its Joint Powers Agency agreement. I think it's up for next Tuesday for approval. Their approach is very similar to San Francisco's. It's a meter-beat PG&E rate structure with a 50% renewable portfolio standard by 2015 and a 250 megawatt rollout of local renewable energy facilities within that plan. They're also planning to offer a 100% green product, so people will pay extra to receive 100% green power. Everyone else will be within the meter-beat baseline rate for 50% green power. They are not yet, as far as I know, planning to offer revenue bond financing to individual customers, as San Francisco is doing, financing of home solar, financing of ownership. So in San Francisco, we're sort of pursuing a pay extra to own approach, where the baseline is set at 51% for all customers. And they're focusing on paying extra for even greener power, but not ownership per se. In San Joaquin, as I mentioned, there's a CCA there which already had its implementation plan certified by the CPUC, and they've been doing a lot of the yeoman's work on seeking redress at the CPUC for hostile PG&E public relations campaigns, and we've had increasing contact with them, and their plans are really focused on rates primarily, and so they are looking at just meeting the state's 20% renewable portfolio standard for 2010 and using revenue bonds like we are, but to finance a gas-fired power plant and a large single photovoltaic array. So it's different, you know, it's out in the valley, and their criteria are a little bit different. They are trying to innovate with solar, but they're not really driving up the renewable portfolio standard the way that we are, the way that Marin is doing. Now, finally,
Fenn, I just want to say that I think we're a little concerned on time. So
okay, I'll wrap it up.
A little bit.
Yes, sir, I'll wrap it up. So Sonoma's got even the highest RPS. It hasn't been released yet, but we wrote it, and they are okay with us talking about it. It sets a 66% RPS by 2017, but it uses capital bonds, which have more general fund exposure than revenue bonds, so it's a little more risky to the city, but you can achieve more and build more within a single power agreement. So in the general picture of things, just going forward, the overall strategy we see here is that San Francisco is in the process of making itself even less energy independent. Unfortunately, the good side to closing the in-city power plants is that you'll cause less cancer and less public health impacts. The downside is that after you close those plants, virtually all power in the city will come from the outside. And so the goal of energy independence for the city has a special opportunity with the CCA program because we've identified a number of resources. There are more to be identified, but these are low-lying fruit with cogeneration, 106 megawatts, with the CCA Phase 1 rollout, at least 204 local megawatts, the opportunity to develop photovoltaics and wind in the city. We see an opportunity, what was it, to bring in 580? Why don't you come explain this, because you did this slide.
I'm just going to have to caution you on time because we don't have.
We'll wrap it. Let's just drop it then. Okay, this is summary.
We will have to disband in probably about 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay, I'll wrap it in.
Altogether.
Altogether. I'll wrap it in 3 minutes.
Okay.
So the basic message here is you're probably getting the sense that as Commissioner Schmelzer said, these are complex projects. Every one of them is complex. It's in the nature of renewable energy to be complex. And in urban environments, they're particularly complex because of the permitting environment. And because of there's so many decentralized resources, there's a great deal of complexity around the interconnect to PG&E. And for that reason, a multi-site planning process is called for, including urban design. How's it going to affect the appearance of the city? Where do these facilities go? What should the rules be for their deployment? How are candidates going to be identified? Where are the candidates? A complex permitting process means a careful analysis of SFPUC data that's been collected from PG&E. CCAs have full access to PG&E's data as a result of the statute and the regs. We need to get that data and work it over more carefully. Request more data so that we can identify the target candidates for the rollout in the city in order for that rollout to be rationally planned. We need to prepare city agencies in terms of their protocols and rules, not just in permitting, but also in terms of the agency participation in the rollout. The fact is that having a lot of on-site renewable capacity provides opportunities for things like emergency medical response, to have powered-up communication systems when the grid goes down. There are a lot of permutations here that are public, not just private, and the importance of not just establishing a permitting process, but also an overall agency participation process could not be understated. PG interconnect is a major issue. Their current rate of connecting renewable distributed generation is incredibly slow, and even today, compared to what we're planning to do in the next year or two, it's intolerably slow. And so there needs to be a very aggressive process of planning and helping the supplier interconnect new facilities and to plan those interconnects. And that's it. Thank you. Please, any questions?
I have a quick question. Did you have a chance to review the the recent economic bailout package, which include additional or renewal of the federal incentives around solar and renewable power, and also to look at the problems in the credit market, which I know has hurt the solar industry that is capital reliant at this point? Is this overall a net gain or a net loss towards our ability to implement CCA, or have you not really had a chance to look at it because it's been very recent?
I've looked at it. It's you know, in the big picture, when the private sector collapses, the public sector fills in. And you know, part of what the explosion of solar in the U.S. in the last 3 years has been the emergence of the solar PPA, power purchase agreement, where a third-party financing entity puts up money to finance solar on someone else's rooftop and then effectively sells power to them from that third-party finance facility. Those sorts of arrangements now are compromised by the shrinkage in credit, and in general, the ability of the credit markets to support renewable energy development have been constrained. And so certainly the role of bonds and in cities in filling that gap and providing the traditional source of legitimate financing based on legitimate security, I think, is highlighted. That being said, you know, bond markets have been hurt marginally, but I think in the long term, the message here is that markets are out of control, and that a longer term approach to energy is highly advisable. So I think it helps us in that way.
I think what we'll do is ask you to return for our next meeting. We'll coordinate with you. We'll have our staff coordinate with you. This is a good start.
Thank you.
It promulgates a number of questions that unfortunately we will not have time to go into today.
All right, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Okay, I appreciate that. Commissioner?
One quick question before you leave.
Of course.
Of the contracted money for this report, how much of that has been used so far?
You know, I haven't completed the second invoice, so from the first invoice, it was around, I think it was around $43,000, and it's out of 64 total. So we've got, you know, from then until the final draft, another $20,000 to burn. But I haven't prepared the second invoice, so I don't have the hours on me.
Okay, and the first invoice was submitted
a couple weeks ago, I think.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
great. Thank you. Thank you all.